The following video is by the Dark Conservatarian. If you like it, be sure to subscribe to him, link in the description. And a reminder that patrons who donate at the Super VIP level or higher are entitled to have one video mirrored on my channel per month, no questions asked. Without further ado, here's the Dark Conservatarian.
Okay, so I'm kind of long getting to this video, and Biden's vaccine mandate is looking unlikely to be successful for now anyways, but this topic is still hotly debated, and as long as the coronavirus rages on and government actors still use it as a wedge to advocate for more control, the fight for liberty over the subject still rages on too. So let's kick some ass!
Those who haven't gotten vaccinated. That 25% can cause a lot of damage, and they are.
To whom? To the 25%.
It's not true.
No, it's not true.
ICU capabilities are already distraught in this country. We
What the fuck is up with this guy? Why does he think he needs to spastically slap himself whenever he hears something even mildly disagreeable?
have less ICU capabilities than comparable other OECD nations in this country, even before this pandemic.
This is the point I hear a lot from just general COVID pessimists, and I find it to be a moot point because ICU usage was already high and mostly full even before the pandemic, and on that note, people weren't complaining about the high usage back then.
So no, they're not just dying on their own. These stupid hogs are not dying alone, squealing like little piggies as they try to gasp for breath before they die, okay?
Speaking of squealing piggies, I think you're gonna have a doctor see your friend there.
It is not about actually achieving more vaccines. It's about shifting blame away from Joe Biden being a failure of president.
No, it's not.
Let's be real.
Oh, did Big Mean Ben Shapiro just criticize old Uncle Joe Biden? Get over yourself, you fucking crybaby. And no, yeah, it totally is. I mean, keep in mind that this happened right around the time of the failure of the Afghanistan exit, of how much of a farce that was. What, are you going to try and say that this was all just coincidence, dude?
We'll get into the policy of this in just 1 second, and why I say that this thing is never going to be implemented on a wide scale, why it is likely to be struck down, why it's almost
It's not going to be struck down. It's constitutional, okay? And there's precedent for this.
Oh boy, I cannot wait to hear what the explanation is for this.
unenforceable, even were it not to be struck down.
Wait, whoa, you cannot just leave that hanging right there. Please explain yourself on how the heck you think that this is actually constitutional. I can agree somewhat with the talking points that there is the precedent for Joe Biden to be able to do this, in that there are certain apparatuses like OSHA, for example, set up so that he can do this. Doesn't mean that they're constitutional though. And that certainly doesn't mean that we agree with that precedent remaining there, that the president can just start mandating businesses mandate the vaccine to all their employees.
But last night, Joe Biden made the most authoritarian move that I have seen.
It's not the most authoritarian move. There's precedent for this.
For the second time already, what is the precedent? And just because there is precedent for something, air quotes, does not mean that it's not authoritarian. Precedents and authoritarianism are not mutually exclusive.
In the last 10, 15, 20 years of American politics. I'm having a hard time pegging it exactly.
Again, he's not explaining what the alleged precedent is, and I think him consistently looking back to see if Hasan is on his way back is him just thinking, oh, holy crap, I don't have an actual substantive argument here. Get back over here, Hasan, and help me. Congratulations, everybody. Hasan has just found himself a co-host that is a bigger idiot than even him.
Obama said over and over and over, I don't have the power to simply stop enforcing immigration law, and then he just did it. And you'll remember that Joe Biden said, I don't have the power to issue an eviction moratorium via the Centers for Disease Control, and then he just did it. Well, you'll recall that this administration has over and over and over said they do not have the power to issue any sort of vaccine mandate.
No response, no argument, no exaggerated over-the-top reaction. You think that maybe Ben Shapiro is teaching this guy something and he doesn't even realize it? probably not, but I just find this Austin Speaks guy's reactions to be hilarious, be it his over-the-top spasms or his dumbfounded, just silent looks that he gives at the camera. And I find it even more funny as to why the editor did not even decide to edit out these moments of silence.
It's almost like pandemics are a dynamic situation where new variants come about as a consequence of not reaching herd immunity quick enough, and then the unvaccinated create new variants. And that new variant is called Delta, which is a significantly higher viral load and spreads way faster than the vanilla COVID that we know.
But the vaccine is still effective at protecting against it, right? I mean, in my reading of Delta when it was first popping up in late summer, Delta is more transmissible, but not vaccine resistant, at least not entirely, whereas it was the Lambda variant that was actually vaccine resistant, but it wasn't a fast spreader at all, so it was of no real concern.
This is before 670,000 Americans have died thus far, when Joe Biden is saying this sort of stuff. And obviously he's capable of changing his fucking mind to the appropriate circumstances and and what they necessitate.
Still the exposure of a fascistic mind. And let's listen back to the video clip, shall we?
No, I don't think it should be mandatory. I wouldn't demand to be mandatory, but I would do everything in my power. Just like I don't think masks have to be made mandatory nationwide.
He wasn't just saying like it was just for right now. When he said wouldn't be mandatory, he was originally ruling it out as even being an option. So was he a liar or an idiot?
The Delta variant has been ripping through the country, so much so that right now, when we do actually have fucking vaccines, there are more than 3 times the number of new COVID cases a fucking week than last year at this exact same time.
Then let those who want to take the risk by not taking the vaccines take the risk and possibly get the virus. If the vaccines are so effective at protecting you, then there's no need to mandate them on anyone who consents to take the risk.
If tomorrow there's a new fucking variant that literally just kills you on sight, is this dumbass going to say, I can't believe that Joe Biden is issuing another lockdown?
As of this recording, I literally just recently got done reviewing a debate of where that Jack Posobiec said to Destiny that if the virus was exactly like the bubonic plague with such a high fatality rate, then it would be a different story and we can talk more about restrictions. And I think I can with confidence extrapolate Jack Posobiec's position and say that Ben Shapiro would be of the same mind too.
The government has a responsibility to be authoritarian when people are fucking stupid and don't want to protect themselves.
Oh, well, Heil Hitler, bitch!
Such as like drunk driving laws,
Anti-fast food laws,
such as traffic laws,
anti-meth laws,
such as numerous other things like OSHA restrictions that require you to fucking wear a hard hat when you're at the construction yard.
Call this a bit of a hot take, but I think if somebody even so far wants to risk their head getting hit by some overhead equipment or their head getting cracked open by some falling debris by not wearing a hard hat, that is their prerogative too.
These are all taking away your seatbelt.
Oh yes, and seatbelts. If somebody wants to risk themselves flying out of their windshield and breaking every single bone in their body, that's their prerogative too.
These are all taking away your freedoms.
Doesn't make it right, you fascist.
I'm not trying to talk down traffic laws or even drunk driving laws specifically, cause you driving irresponsibly has a tendency for you to hurt other people or their property other than yours and yourself. But with the plain talking point Hasan presented earlier about how the government has a job to be authoritarian when people don't want to protect themselves, that just sets up for the government to have the legitimacy to take away people's rights to drink alcohol, smoke cigarettes, eat unhealthy food that is more prone to give them a heart attack than advantage them health-wise, or even to ban meth and other hard drugs that have no positives to them. And I thought Hasan was the type of person to be for decriminalizing meth usage. Unless I'm wrong, unless it turns out that Hasan thinks people do not have a right to their own person, even a way that they damage or just risk themselves health-wise. So I guess he thinks people don't have a right to suicide either. Not that suicide should be encouraged, don't get it twisted, YouTube. Nobody should actually commit suicide. I'm not saying anyone should.
Because the government is primarily responsible with taking care of you.
The government may damn well be your mommy and change your diapers for you, Hasan, but the government is not my mommy, thank you.
So when you're too stupid to take care of yourself, and you're too much of a fucking hog to recognize that you're putting your life in danger The government is supposed to come in and say, you can't do that, it's illegal.
So apparently, whenever you go skydiving, go on a roller coaster ride, go go-karting, go playing sports or anything else like that, it's not that you are wanting some excitement in your life and are consenting to the risk. No, you're a fucking hog! No, it's not that everybody who consents to endangering and risking themselves in order to get on with their damn life are a bunch of hogs, Hasan. Is that you are too much of a big fat pussy in order to accept the fact that government is not going to be able to take away every single risk and endangerment within life and society.
When seatbelts were first made mandatory, libertarians got mad at that too. It's just how it is. Libertarians are too fucking stupid, and no one should take them seriously.
Projection. The person that people really should not be taking seriously is your pussified, narrow-minded, narcissistic, fascistic dumbass. And really the only reason why I'm here making a response video is because this is a very relevant topic and I'm using you as a foil.
Ben Shapiro is routinely fucking creating vaccine hesitancy creating vaccine hesitancy amongst people that watch him by offering them some kind of fucking out.
Bullshit! Ben has always been pro-voluntary vaccines, which is something Hasan admits later, and it makes one wonder, what more do you want him to say on that front? He already says, get the vaccine. You think Ben would decrease vaccine hesitancy by saying, get the vaccine or else? If anything, making threats over this is what creates a reverse psychological reaction to where people want to resist even more.
She said that the private sector is supposed to, take these measures. Now, one, I hate this, anti-federalist American attitude that we have.
He's just mindlessly advocating for totalitarian government, y'all. You can barely argue with this shit.
But that's precisely what they're doing. They are forcing the private sector to take the appropriate measures.
Doesn't make it any better.
So Ben Shapiro should be excited about this. It's not a federal mandate.
Wait, what did he say?
This is not a federal mandate. Joe Biden wasn't like, I'm the God King and we're going to do this.
Despite this being a ruling that comes from a
Federal government office.
They're saying that OSHA is forcing private corporations to engage in this.
Which is a federal agency, you pedantic dumb fuck.
Which now, there's also still an out for all these pussies that are still terrified that they're gonna turn gay when they take the vaccine. And that is that you can just get weekly fucking COVID tests.
doesn't exactly make it better, especially on the liberty side of things, but even on the practical side of things, unless on-the-job testing is provided, which I'm highly skeptical of, by the way, it's gonna be highly impractical for somebody to keep on attempting to schedule to go to the drive-through pharmacy to get tested once per week. Not to mention that some people, particularly healthcare workers, aren't even allowed the weekly test exception.
At a certain fucking point, you just want to spread COVID. Like you're arguing for COVID. You're like, I want to spread more COVID. It's my constitutionally protected freedom to be able to spread more COVID. I'm just gonna do that.
Mr. Strawman, give me a break.
No, you bad faith partisan cunt. The intent is nothing about spreading COVID. The intent is to get on with their damn lives.
Nation shifted away from the administration, decided.
How does anybody watch such a fragile, narcissistic clown like Hasan, who consistently bans his own fans for the slightest bit of pushback, like he's shown to have done earlier in this freaking video, by the way? Not to mention during his drama with JXE and his community of YouTubers.
Show their fucking channel name, dude. It's not a big deal.
Exactly.
No shit, dumbass. What kind of a fucking baboon are you?
Like, ban that guy?
Agree with that? Why do you? Oh, God, I fucking
just banned that guy?
God.
He banned him.
That dude's like,
He
what
banned
is
him.
the?
Oh
what is
my
the?
God.
Why did you say retail workers hate their lives? Yes, I said retail workers. Why did you say retail lives? As fuck, man. I worked in retail, but my life was worth living. Okay, I'm just gonna ban you, dude. Wow. I think you. The worst part about Ben Shapiro is that, like, he literally recognizes and also admits in the same conversation that the vaccines are effective.
So the fuck what? Just because kale is good for you doesn't mean that Ben is also going to advocate that the government literally force feed kale down everybody's throat.
That all of the best states in America, in terms of unemployment rate, are red, and all of the worst states in America,
Wait.
We're talking about a ruling that affects people's jobs. That's what unemployment has to do with this. Get the crap out of your brain, dude.
What is the
No, the reason why he's saying this, first of all, he's lying.
No, you asshole. He's not even unintentionally misinforming anyone about unemployment rates state by state. I checked it myself. As of September 2021, red states and red-leaning states have lower unemployment rates than blue and blue-leaning states. Texas was 5.6, for example, while California was 7.5, and Florida, for another example, was 4.9, while New York was 7.1.
Dude, he's blaming the unvaccinated for fucking dying and taking up ICU beds.
Hospitalizations are around 24 per 100,000 nationwide, possibly even less than that, and fatality rates are less than 2% out of everything that I've normally researched in regards to fatality rates from COVID-19. No need to play up this virus with your fear-mongering, Hasan.
And he's right. Why are you fucking crying about it?
Ain't it obvious? So therefore, he doesn't find it worth it to be pitting one man against another fellow man. Ugh, why do I even bother? This is the guy who said that America deserved 9/11. Hasan likely lives off of hatred towards your opposition, the unlikable scumbag.
But it's like, conservatives are like fucking kids, where you tell a kid not to touch the fucking hot pan, and the kid's like, shut up, libtard, I'm gonna touch this hot pan regardless.
You know what? Fuck this retarded analogy. Dying or even getting permanently injured from COVID-19 is not even near as obvious, much less as likely as burning yourself by touching an evidently hot surface. Moving on.
And it's evidence that he is a failure as both a president and as a decent human being with the kind of power that he's attempting to wield. In 1 second, we'll get to Joe Biden's ridiculous and horrifying speech. Frankly, the stuff that he was saying yesterday.
Horrifying.
Oh my God!
Is there a low for Biden? There is no floor. There really is not. I thought that the worst speech that I'd heard was the speech that he gave like last week upon the withdrawal from Afghanistan, where he championed himself and pat himself on the back while 100.
Oh, this is hilarious. Austin's spasms are getting so bad that even Hasan has to tell him to cool it down.
It's not even a federal vaccine mandate. It's fucking $14,000 fine per employee if the employer doesn't mandate it themselves, which is obviously prohibitively expensive.
We know this already, but it doesn't mean jack shit as far as whether we should change our position or not.
And de facto mandate.
Wait, what'd he say?
And de facto mandate.
Come again.
And de facto mandate.
A de facto mandate! He admits that it's a mandate! Just because the punishment is a $14,000 criminal fine doesn't mean it's any less of a government mandate than if President Biden sent the police to haul you off to jail and possibly execute you if you refuse the vaccine. And remember earlier when Hasan tried playing the pedantry that it's not a federal mandate, actually it's OSHA that is gonna put out this rule, or whatever the fuck exactly he said. Even these guys' attempts at pedantry just to gain brownie points is pretty freaking bad.
Conservatives are screeching over the fucking free market principles, yup.
Get the fuck out of here with your retarded ass gaslighting. Free market principles is not when you punish businesses for not operating in a certain manner. It's when you allow people to run their businesses however they want without punishment. That is free market.
It's also the most like patchwork American way of dealing with a fucking problem. Instead of just being like, dude, I'm the government, shut the fuck up and get vaccinated. I'm literally going to come to your house with at gunpoint and vaccinate you if you don't.
Oh yes, you would like that, wouldn't you, you fascist prick?
There's studies after studies showing that natural immunity is more durable than vaccine immunity. And yet there are no
that's not true.
There's one study, right?
Wait,
There's more out there, actually.
first of all, that's inconsistent. Natural immunity is an inconsistent fucking argument because the amount of antibodies that you develop are completely fucking inconsistent.
What do you mean by inconsistent? Please clarify what you actually mean by that. And this chart that you show us, Hasan, does not mean anything by itself. I'm gonna need some extra context to actually know what this graph means.
Two, those very same studies show that like if you're vaccinated and also have gotten COVID, then you're less likely to fucking get COVID. So natural immunity paired up with double dosage is actually the highest percentage.
If I'm to understand what Hasan is trying to say with this stifled, jumbled up wording correctly, he's saying that if you have natural immunity, then you're gonna be even more immune if you also take the vaccine and add your vaccine-induced immunity on top of your natural immunity, supposedly according to these studies. To that I say in response, doubt. I doubt that. At least according to what I've read so far. So please at least cite your sources to back up that one specific claim of yours, Hasan.
So even if you're fucking, even if you've gotten antibodies because you got COVID early on, you should still get the vaccine.
Why? If they already have a natural immunity, then what purpose does it serve except to virtue signal to vaccine worshippers like you?
This is how you know that he's a dishonest, lying sack of...
No, Ben, you are a dishonest sack of shit.
First of all, what is with this retarded look here of where that you're having to reach over Hasan's shoulder to pause the video? If Hasan is going to be too busy looking on his phone and just in general doing other stuff other than running the stream that he is supposed to be hosting, then couldn't he at least give you the seat so that you can do the responding right now? And secondly, are you going to actually explain how you think that Ben Shapiro is a liar, or is this just the weakest ever "no you" that you just committed right here?
Okay, not Big Balls Biden, who's doing the right thing.
Big Balls Biden? Sure, it's not that Biden is being a tyrant by mandating all businesses with over 100 employees mandate the vaccine. It's just that he's very brave. Roosevelt, you weren't a tyrant by interning all the Japanese heritage citizens of America during World War II. That was actually just very brave of you. Stalin, you weren't being a tyrant by attempting to take away the kulaks farmland. You were just very brave. Mao, you weren't a dictator by seizing all the Chinese farmers' farming equipment and executing the Great Leap Forward, which would cause a famine of your own. You just had very big balls. And Hitler, when you rounded up all the Jews and put them in concentration camps, that wasn't tyrannical. You had very big balls!
Mandating vaccine, which is completely within his authority and power to do so, as outlined in the Constitution in the Commerce Clause.
So this is your argument you finally present as to how this mandate is constitutional, supposedly. I'm more inclined to dismiss your assertion as baseless, considering what I've read, and not to mention when I read the Commerce Clause myself, it mentioned nothing. Absolutely zip about the health or vaccines of employees, so you're just full of shit, Austin.
But what Joe Biden is now saying is that he gets to intervene if I wave my fist around and it hits...
No, OSHA gets to intervene.
Shut the fuck up, Austin. You're stupid. Your pedantry about how Biden is not doing the mandating himself, he's just telling OSHA to do it, is not making you look smart any more than your fake-ass spastic acting is making you look sincere.
If you're unvaccinated, you are not a danger to the vaccinated. You know who knows this? Joe Biden, who said it last night.
That the vaccines provide very strong protection from severe illness from COVID-19.
If you avoid the main issue, then you can craft a narrative where it's like, just let people die, lol. I don't understand. What the fuck's wrong with you, Joe Biden? Like, just let people die. That's precisely why he's not talking about the ICU capabilities, because that fact alone destroys his argument.
I love how in response to that portion of Ben's video, they don't have an argument against the statement that the vaccines protect you from getting the coup from the unvaccinated. So I guess Hasan and Austin are inadvertently admitting to that being true. But to respond to what Hasan actually said, I don't think Ben is purposefully avoiding the ICU usage talking point. It's just that nobody has brought it up to him, be it directly or in a video he's responding to. So why bring it up himself? I bet that in a debate, if you brought up ICU usage to Ben, he would say in response something to the effect that ICU usage was already similarly high before the pandemic started, just like I did earlier in this response video. And that since ICU usage was already pretty high pre-pandemic, it seems like a moot point to bring up. So just simply repeatedly saying over and over again, my ICU usage is not really helping you at this point, Hasan.
If someone were to bring that up, then he would turn around and say, well, actually, what about obesity? As though obesity is like a fucking immediate killer and not like a slow and crippling and painful experience that ultimately causes your demise later in life when you die.
Well, you did say earlier in this video simply that the government has a job to be authoritarian when people don't want to protect themselves, so I can only presume that you are also referring to obesity.
If we lived in a world where COVID wasn't overwhelming the system and we were able to get people, whoever wanted to get vaccinated, could get vaccinated and do as he's suggesting, and it wasn't overwhelming the system, then there would not be a vaccine mandate.
I disagree. I think
you disagree.
Wow, a moment of sensibility from Austin. Perhaps I judged him too harshly.
Yes, I think the government still has a responsibility.
Well, they have a legal right.
Because it doesn't.
But of course, Hasan just pulls him back. You wonder if Hasan just has Austin's balls in a pickle jar, and maybe that's the reason why he's such a brown nose and puts on such fake, cringy, over-the-top acting to boot.
Just end there. You're taking out fucking workers from the workforce. Like, the government is supposed to do everything it fucking can to stop people from, you know, dying for preventable shit. That's the reason why we have fucking seatbelt laws. You know what I mean? That's it.
And of course, Hasan just insists on government authoritarianism even if a person consents to themselves taking a risk in life. Like I said earlier, you can't actually have a cogent debate against this kind of mindless advocacy for fascism, just as much as you can't debate against a toddler who insistently refuses to eat their dinner. By the way, that's pretty much the end of his video, and I'm not calling a far leftist a fascist just as a no you, because we right-wingers have been called fascist for shit like even merely just disagreeing with the idea of the gender spectrum for the longest time. No, I'm calling Hasan specifically a fascist because I'm calling a spade a spade. He's literally saying it's the government's job to be your mommy if you're willfully and consensually endangering yourself. It doesn't get much more fascistic than that, really. Not to say that all leftists are COVID fascists or vaccine worshippers, but Hasan and his ilk certainly are. The Dark Conservatarian has been brought to you by patrons like you. I'd like to give a special thanks to Cat Chat, The Conundrum, and Mikhail the Stray Cat for all being such loyal followers and donating to me for my work. And if you'd like to donate to this channel and all my other content creation, link to my Patreon page is down below with some patron rewards. If you like this video, don't forget to hit that like button. And if you're new to this channel, don't forget to hit subscribe and set that bell notification button to all. Hope to see you all later, and God bless.